Hello everyone, thank you so much for being present for this webinar on mobile apps versus mobile website for e-commerce stores. Before we begin, let me introduce the speakers. I'm Sarin Kovisi and I work as a web analyst with Tatwik. We have with us Sudhir Mishra, technical analyst of Tatwik, and he will take us through most of this 30 minutes webinar. Few things to check before we start the webinar. Please check that your microphone is muted in GoToWebinar and you can hear us properly. Make sure that you are able to view our presentation that is being shared with you. Please note that after the webinar we will be sharing with you the slides and the recording of this webinar for your reference. At the end of the webinar there will be a questions and answers round where you can ask questions to our speakers. You can ask these questions during the webinar through the chat window. We will answer the first 2 to 3 questions asked by our viewers due to time constraint, but all the questions will be answered via email once the webinar is over. Once the webinar is over, you'll be directed to a feedback survey for the webinar. Feel free to give your valuable feedback to help us improve our upcoming webinars. Furthermore, please don't forget to use the hashtag #TatwikWebinar if you want to tweet any info about our webinars. So let's begin. Sudhir, can you please walk us through today's agenda?
Yes, Shari. I do have the outline of today's webinar. First, we will be reviewing the key decision issues that pertains to a small and medium-sized e-commerce store, as what to do for the website visitors who are using mobile phones to access their website. Once we review these, we would go over a framework that we propose to be used for creating an optimized mobile experience for your website with the minimum efforts and cost. As a use case, we would take an e-commerce store and its data, thereof making it relevant for the e-commerce audience. So this is, and at the end, we do have the takeaways from the webinar.
Yes, and then, as I said before, we'll be having a questions and answer round. So please send us all your queries. Great. So let's move to the first section, which will give us an overview of the most important decisions which e-commerce store has to deal with. What do you think, Sudhir?
Yeah, surely. Here's the first thing. Among the key ideas for mobile strategy, the most important one is understanding the customer's expectation towards the mobile experience your e-commerce store offers. The customer wants a bit improved shopping experience, optimized for mobile, be available to him whenever and wherever he wishes. That is on desktop as well as mobile devices which he frequently uses. So now we know the customer's requirements, and we have our marketing team and some factors which they are really concerned about. The marketing team would be concerned about the time to market, the customer base which they are addressing, is it large enough, and the investment it would require to go mobile, and what would be the returns of the investment. On the other hand, we have our technical team that would be having a never-ending debate of what should it be, whether a mobile app or a mobile website. Should HTML5 application be considered also? And the tech team would go and explain to the marketing team the benefits and disadvantages of both the mobile app or website. So ending this discussion, we need to take a step back and look at the discussion our organization is involved in. The app versus website. Is it a decision point here? No. what is important here is how to proceed with the most efficient and cost-effective plan is important here. We see a progression in terms of effort versus feature for mobile website, then mobile app, and further the personalization of mobile app. Here mobile website offers a simple and responsive website which requires less effort compared to the mobile app which requires more effort, but it gives back you rich features, the searchable content, transactions can happen, offers higher engagement. And to the next level, personalization is something where you can personalize your application to target personal users with personalized offers and improve the UI depending on the data you collect for each user. So here the progression of effort versus feature is there. That is, investing more into resources would obviously result more features. But should you do that? Should you do that now or maybe wait for some time? So how long would you want to wait? What are the triggers that would help you decide where to go? So these are the dilemmas we are going to cover in today's webinar.
Well, Sudhir, I perfectly understand, and I mean, I agree on the fact that this is a very important and strategic decision for online stores. But I mean, how would you solve this? How would you reach a decision? Is there a step-by-step process to follow in order to say, I don't know, yes, this is the right approach to follow in order to be successful? Of course, take into account the specific characteristics of the commerce stores you are working for.
Yes, Shaim, I understand what you expect. We have a process which I would walk you through the next slides, which we had implemented with one of our e-commerce customers, and it was pretty successful.
Great, great.
So the model which we the framework which we have, which we will be seeing, is based on the lean principles of development, which say you learn, you build, and you measure. Here we would start with learn, then go build around the idea, measure it against our objectives, and reiterate if necessary. So moving on to the learn phase, we would want to learn from the desktop website which we have before building the mobile website. So the key idea would be the question that we need to answer. That is, do I have enough users coming from mobile? The second important question is, are those visitors engaged on my website? So these two ideas would drive your decision. So the idea on the stage is what we want to know from the past is that whether it would return with a better outcomes before just jumping to building a better mobile friendly website or application. So let's see how we move forward with this stage.
Sure.
To get answers for the above questions, we'll look to our website and found some important data which we have gathered here in our dashboard, which would I yeah. So here we can see that for the first question, that are there a significant amount of users coming from mobile devices? To demonstrate that, whether number of visits from mobile is significant or not, we have considered visits and percentage new visits and segmented them with mobile and non-mobile. So here the data speaks that the number coming from mobile is quite significant. The other perspective we look at is the engagement. For that, we have considered average visit duration and pages per visit, which is also significant, saying that we should start building a mobile website. Concluding from the dashboard, we have two things to keep in mind: that there are enough mobile visitors that we should serve, and secondly, the visitors who are coming from websites are from mobile and engaging, but they are not converting. So our focus would be to solve these two. So we go ahead with the build phase here, concluding from the data that is promising. We build a mobile friendly website. Now building a mobile friendly website can have two methodologies. The first one being designing and developing at your organization, which would require some amount of effort from your side, from your technical team. The checkout process of the mobile website should be same as or redirected to the desktop website. Here the goal is to measure how well the mobile website would perform once you deploy it. The other methodology is to go for some tools which would give you a mobile website within minutes. The few of them are OB Site Galore, Pmobilize. You can use these two and start collecting data about the mobile visitors and what they do on your website. Now, as you have built the website and have sufficient data, we move on to the next stage where we measure the performance of your mobile website. So how would you measure the outcomes? Previously, we focused on the significant amount of visitors coming from mobile devices, and we build a website to address those. Now, those visitors, are they getting engaged on your mobile website as well? If yes, is there an increment in the engagement? Are they transacting using mobile website, or they are just browsing through your product catalog? Have you seen the increase in the returning visitors? The mobile users are coming back to your website or not? In addition to these factors, you would also like to consider the value of the visitors. That is, are these potential buyers? Is there a use case where they would convert into a customer? Or you can even have a use case where these customers would be better than the desktop website visitors. One more thing here to focus is the platform which provides maximum benefits to your mobile website. Like you can have the mobile website is performing better for some particular platform. So these are the questions you would ask and get answers to measure your performance of mobile website. And for that, we have a Google Analytics dashboard coming up that says that makes the picture clear about the mobile website. Here we have the revenue and average order value for mobile. Plus, we have segmented the data based on the operating system which the mobile uses. Here, for the mobile, it's 8,938, and for particularly iOS, we see an increment of 7%, which is quite significant, which says that on the progression chart, you should move to the next level. Adding to this, we have the conversion rate for mobile website to be 0.31%, and for iOS particularly, it is 0.4. So it is 30% better for iOS, and conversion rate is 30% higher compared to the normal mobile visitors, and the average order value is 7% better. So iOS users tend to generate 7% more revenue, 7% more average revenue per order. So this would suggest you to move to the next level in the progression.
Clear.
Another fact that suggests you to move ahead in the progression is the conversion rate. So the next step would be to move from mobile website to a mobile app, or maybe if you want to go ahead, you can personalize the mobile app as well. But from the data we have, the wise decision would be to first go for mobile app. And while we are going through the mobile app, there are two ways which can be taken. The first is a native mobile app, and second is an HTML5 app. I will just brief you with the decision pointers which would help you in making the choice. Native app requires a long development time and a specific skills, while the HTML5 approach is just a website packaged into a mobile application, which relatively requires less time. Secondly, we have integration with other device features, which works well with native app and not with HTML5. We have push notifications for native app and not for HTML5 application. Both are discoverable and available on app stores. The personalization, that is user-specific offers or advertisements, is possible for native application, while for HTML5 it's not the case. Both of these are submitted to application stores, so they need the approval of app stores, which is not required for a mobile website. Based on the learnings, we decide to go for application for iOS as it offers more revenue. We next decide whether to go with native or HTML5. So we will iterate through the lean development principles and follow the steps. So first, we have learned that iOS visitors have higher average order value. Second, we would build an HTML5 app. The reason being developing for HTML5 instead of native here is that you develop an HTML file, measure it against your objective is the next measure phase.
Yes.
And see how the outcomes are. Has the average order value increased? And if yes, go ahead with the same iteration and build a native app. So this would save you a lot of resources, and if the measure phase is not promising, reiterate through the process and see if you can improve the user experience of user in HTML5 only. So that's how you go and reiterate over the process if necessary.
Oh, well, everything makes so much more sense now, Sudhir. I mean, the main decisions faced by e-commerce stores, owners, and managers, along with the framework, was actually very useful. But just to make things even clearer for our audience, we know you prepared a summary of the key points to keep in mind. Is that true? I would call it some wise advice.
Yeah, I do have the summary of the whole webinar in 3 points. First is,
That's great.
divide this longer journey of providing mobile experience to your customers, divide this into smaller units and progress from beginning, which requires less effort, to a more resource consuming development like mobile app. So smaller progressive units of moving forward to mobile experience would help. And the second one is, when you follow the learn, build, and measure, always measure against your objectives and only go ahead if the results are strong enough to suggest that to progress into the next level. Otherwise, reiterate for the same step until you get to a stage where you can say, yes, I can move ahead. And the third, if you follow the stepwise mobile experience plan, it would reduce the wastage of efforts you put in to provide mobile experience to your customers, and it would make your customers really, really happy.
Okay, that sounds pretty clear now. So let's move to the questions and answers section, Sudhir. Let's give the audience additional 30 to 40 seconds to write down some other questions, I would say. What do you think? Oh, let's start with the first question first. So then the first one is, at which stage of the progression should the checkout process happen, Sudhir?
The checkout process should be, once you complete the iteration of your mobile website, go to your data, see into your data, do the visitors coming to your mobile devices actually tend to buy? And you can also have the conversion rate for them as well, and compare this mobile visitors conversion rate with the desktop website conversion rate. That would give you a clear distinction between whether to integrate the checkout process or not, because it would save you resources in the initial phase if you don't integrate the checkout process. That would answer the question, Sari.
Yeah, I would say so. Absolutely, that's brilliant. But another person is asking, Sudhir, is there an either/or strategy that you recommend for specific scenarios, or would you always suggest investing in both progressively?
I guess if time to market is more important than short-term ROI, then we would certainly suggest directly building an app. Conversely, when ROI is more important, then the current approach works better. The approach that we have is extremely conservative in nature and strong from ROI standpoint. There are some specific use cases where your mobile app's personalization plays vital role. For example, if your daily deal portion of your e-commerce site is very strong and repeat visitors are huge, then we directly recommend an app versus building mobile website. That's sorry.
Yeah, that's great. I was just checking the time. Let me check. We have 3 minutes left. I would say that we don't have much time left for the third question. But okay, please remember that all the other questions will be answered via email. So before concluding, one very important thing, please don't forget to register for our next webinar on creating culture for profit for e-commerce store, which will be something incredibly interesting, starting from the special guest and speaker who will attend it. Our special guest will be Christopher Ewald, digital strategist with more than 16 years of experience. Currently, he is Group Director, Data Intelligence and Analytics at NetBooster. And furthermore, he is member of Digital Analytics Association Research Committee and Board of Directors Association of Danish Digital Agencies. He will be hosting the webinar along with Ravi Pathak, co-founder of Tatwik. This 1-hour webinar will be hosted on the 4th of December, starting at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can have more info and register for it on our website at www.tatwik.com/webinars. So thank you all for attending this webinar. So that's all for today. We really hope it has been a valuable and interesting experience. Feel free to contact us for questions, doubts, or any other information. Don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Google+, and Twitter. And please remember to mention the hashtag #TatWeekWebinar to share info about the webinar on Twitter. All the best, everyone.